Good morning from the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. I'm NASA's Sandra Jones, and we're bringing you live coverage of a spacewalk today to install a modification kit in preparation for ongoing solar array upgrades, as well as to swab the outside of the orbiting lab for possible microorganisms as part of a science research investigation. You're looking live into the International Space Station, where today's spacewalkers, NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams, are working through procedures ahead of today's spacewalk. Meir is wearing the suit with the red stripes this morning. This will be Meir's fourth spacewalk of her career, and Williams will be wearing the unmarked spacesuit on his very first spacewalk of his career. Meir arrived to the International Space Station just last month on February 14th, following launch a day prior on a SpaceX Dragon as part of Crew 12. Williams arrived to the International Space Station in November of last year. And this view on your screen here, you do see of NASA astronaut Chris Williams as he works to configure some tools that will be utilized during today's spacewalk. You also will see the crew moving their legs slightly. They are completing what is called aisle or in-suit light exercise procedures. This helps to purge any excess nitrogen from the bloodstream. During today's spacewalk, Meir and Williams will complete tasks to build and install a mounting bracket on the 2A power channel in preparation for the next delivery of ISS rollout solar arrays, or IROSAs, that will be delivered on a future flight. You may recall that over the past few years we have continued to work on upgrading the power channels on Space Station, and we have already completed the 1A, 1B, 3A, 4B, 4A, and 2B areas of the space station, leaving just 2 power channels remaining to be upgraded. Assisting with Suit Up this morning were 2 other astronauts, European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau, as well as NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, who are our spacewalk support team today. Once our spacewalkers complete these aisle exercises or in-suit light exercise procedures, they will move into the crew lock portion of the International Space Station and begin depressurization. Once the crew lock is depressurized down to vacuum or 0 pounds per square inch, they'll have the go to open up the hatch and venture out for today's spacewalk.
3, 2, 1, end exercise.
And you did hear some communications there to the crew from the ground here, letting them know to end those exercises. They go through procedures of completing the exercises for a portion of time and then pausing. So currently they are in a pause state, but we will see their legs and arms begin to move slightly once they begin the exercises again here shortly.
Three, 2, 1, start exercise. Cycle 8.
You're looking at a live view of NASA astronaut Chris Williams as he continues to step through those procedures of the aisle exercises. And on the left of your screen, you can see NASA astronaut Jessica Meir as she continues to step through those procedures as well. NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Meir continuing to step through procedures ahead of venturing outside the space station's hatch today. At the beginning of today's spacewalk, the duo will be working together to install the bracket that the new solar arrays will be installed upon, and that will be installed to the 2A truss this morning. This bracket had previous work done to build portions back during a spacewalk last year with NASA astronauts Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers.
End exercise.
And on your screen here, you can see the areas that have already been built. They are the white and gray portions on your screen there today. The red, blue, and green areas are the portions of the mod kit that are going to be built by NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams during today's spacewalk, following the previous work done by Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers on May 1st of 2025. And you can see a portion of NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway there on your screen.
Three, two, one. Start exercise, cycle 9.
He is assisting NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams this morning, as well as taking some imagery of them currently. Today's spacewalk will be the 278th in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades, and will be the first of 2026. Again, this spacewalk will be the fourth for NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, who previously conducted 3 spacewalks totaling over 21 hours, and it will be the very first spacewalk for NASA astronaut Chris Williams. In addition to the 2A mod kit build, today's spacewalk will include sampling as part of the ISS external microorganisms experiment, which tests samples collected from life support system vents on the outside of the space station as well as other areas to examine whether the spacecraft may release microorganisms, how many, and how far they may travel. And here on your screen you do see a location of the 3 areas that will be swabbed today as part of this ongoing investigation. This research could help determine whether changes are needed to crewed spacecraft, including spacesuits used to explore destinations where life may exist now or existed previously, and to limit the spread.
3, 2, 1, end exercise.
Again, and to limit the spread of any possible human contamination. This will be the second sample collection for this investigation, following the first sample that was conducted during US EVA 92 in January of 2025.
Three, two, one, start exercise. Cycle 10, last cycle.
You're continuing to get views on your screen of NASA astronaut Chris Williams on the left and NASA astronaut Jessica Meir on the right in the spacesuit with the red stripe on it as they complete their final aisle or in-suit light exercise procedure to help purge any excess nitrogen from their blood following the pre-breathing procedures of 100% oxygen that was completed earlier this morning. And now coming into view is NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, who's been assisting the crew this morning, taking some photos, it appears. Both Mir and Hathaway arrived to the International Space Station just last month on NASA's SpaceX Crew 12 mission. And now coming into view is European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adano, who's also been assisting with suit-up procedures this morning. Later on during today's spacewalk, Hathaway and Adano will work together to utilize the Canadarm2 into a configuration to allow a lens cap to be installed by today's spacewalkers. In addition to the 4 crew members you see on your screen here, there are 7 humans living and working aboard the International Space Station as we speak. That includes current Space Station Commander Sergei Krutskvorchkov, as well as Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Mikheyev and Andrei Fedyaev. Fedyaev on your screen there taking some imagery of Williams, Adano, Hathaway, and Mir.
Three, two, one, and exercise. That's the final cycle. Congratulations on completing your pre-breathe exercise protocol in the suit. Copy, thumbs up.
And with that,
Houston Airlock, we're back with you, and understand we're going to start in step 5 of 1.2.
Concur.
And a short time ago, we did hear the call that the aisle or in-suit light exercise procedures are complete. Now that this is complete, the crew, namely NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway and European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adano, will work to get helmet cameras installed to both NASA astronaut Chris Williams and Jessica Mir this morning.
Airlock, EV1 has set amp hours to 29.5, EV2 to 29.0.
Copy that. Those are good numbers right there. And just let us know when you turn the HECAs on.
And that communication referring to the HECA, that is the High Definition Extravehicular Mobility Unit Camera Assembly. Again, those cameras we were referring to that are being worked to be installed as we speak.
We have two green lights, one on each EV1 and EV2 for the HD EMU cameras for your step 7.
Copy that. Thanks, Jack. Hold right here. We'll do some work on the ground, get right back to you.
Great.
And Jack, back with you on here. While we're working on the ground steps in step 8, you are go to complete steps 9 through 15.
We will put 9 through 15 into work.
Thank you.
And those communications from here on the ground inside Mission Control Houston by today's Capcom, or capsule communicator, Scott Sagatti, up to NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. Scott will be prime for communicating with the crew inside the International Space Station once today's spacewalk begins, and while they are outside performing the spacewalk today, NASA astronaut Tracy Dyson will be the spacewalk communicator. And in addition to the spacewalk communicator and Capcom, there are several other team members here on your screen that are all being led by NASA Flight Director Deanna Trujillo during today's Orbit 2 shift. And there you do see on your screen there NASA Flight Director Deanna Trujillo, NASA astronaut and today's ground IV Tracy Dyson, and the Capcom for today, Scott Sagatti.
Airlock TCV setting for EV1 is now 6.
Copy, TCV 6. Thank you.
And you're looking at a view from inside NASA astronaut Jessica Meir's helmet cam as they work to continue configuring tools and tethers, getting everything ready to go ahead of today's spacewalk. On the left of your screen there is NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, and on the right is European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno, who are assisting. And directly across from NASA astronaut Jessica Meir is Chris Williams. He will be completing his very first spacewalk today. Again, this will be the 4th spacewalk for Meir.
Houston airlock, we are complete through step 15. Just waiting for your go for the next couple steps.
Great timing, Jack. We are now go on the ground. You have a go in step 16 for MEDOX.
We're go for MEDOX replacement.
And you're getting another bird's eye view perspective, this time from inside NASA astronaut.
Double checking our steps here. We think we also need to do step 8, where we're going to turn the HECA power buttons to off before we move on to the MEDOX. Is that right?
Yeah, good catch there, Jack. Absolutely, we are go for you to complete the rest of step 8 as well.
And we did hear some communications between the crew on the space station and the ground discussing MEDOX canisters. That is the metal oxide canister, which is used inside the spacesuit to remove carbon dioxide during spacewalks.
Houston airlock, we're going to put serial number 1031 into Jessica.
Copy that. 1031, that's a good number.
And you are seeing NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway there in the center of your screen holding that MEDOX, or metal oxide canister. This is going to be installed, this MEDOX canister is going to be installed inside of NASA astronaut Jessica Mears' spacesuit. You can see they're turning her to get her into a good config to be able to place that MEDOX canister. This canister does remove carbon dioxide during spacewalks and can actually be utilized multiple times. Once complete with today's spacewalks, they can recharge the MEDOX canister. And if you're just joining us, we are continuing to bring you live views inside the International Space Station as two NASA astronauts are suited up and preparing to venture outside the space station's hatch to prepare the 2A power channel for future installation of International Space Station rollout solar arrays. Earlier this week, we did have an EVA preview brief where Flight Director Diana Trujillo walked us through the procedures that will occur during today's spacewalk. Let's take a closer look.
Once the hatch open, we're going to have Jessica coming out. First, she gets the strut bag, which is an 8-foot-long bag, and then she gets the cable bag. Then Chris comes out. After they're both outside, Jessica will be the first one that will start translation to the P4 area where the mod kit is located. So you'll see it here in the animation. She starts moving through the truss all the way down to the mod kit. At the same time, Chris is going to do a quick stop, get a WIFX, which is an equipment that will give him more distance once he gets into the foot restraint, so he can reach to the mod kit itself. Once they get there, they're going to cinch down the bags, and then they begin the installation. So they start with the mid-strut, and then Jessica gets the other side, the left mid-strut and the lower strut, hands it to Chris, who's already on the foot restraint. Then Jessica goes around, and Chris will then be turned so that he can be facing on the other side of the canister, where he will start now working with Jessica to put the mid-struts themselves. So here's where they bolt the second mid-strut. And after that, the whole assembly of the mod kit is now completed with the cables that will be required for later on. After that's completed, Jessica is going to go down on one side of the area where they were, put the DDCU jumpers, while Chris is moving now to the race ring, as I mentioned before, to take a snapshot of the current state. So here he goes. He takes a few pictures for us to understand the state. And then he comes back. Once he comes back to the same location where we had cinched down the 2 bags, he will begin now the torque reset. So open the cable bag, get the tool that he needs, and then he begins the torque resets for several of the boxes that you see here. Once that is completed, Chris is coming back to the airlock where he starts doing the microorganisms. So you can see that he has the canisters on his side. He brings in the tool, he does the swabbing, and then he puts it back into the tool. At the moment he puts it on the tool, he locks in the sample, and so he goes for the next sample. There's 7 samples that we're gonna go do. The minimum number for our activity this go around is 5 samples. So in this specific view, you'll see him going back inside the airlock to do 2 of the swabs that he has on his SEU. In the meantime, Jessica now has made it to a location on the truss where the robotic arm gets closer to her. She puts the cover on the camera itself for the robotic arm, and then the robotic arm moves out of the way, and she makes it back to the airlock. And here you see Jessica putting the cable back inside, and then back inside the airlock for the end of our EVA. And that will conclude EVA 94.
A closer look at what we can expect during today's spacewalk. On your screen, you're now seeing European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adenau working to get the MEDOX canister installed inside Chris Williams' spacesuit. And we are in a brief expected handover between our satellites, but we'll regain views and communications here shortly with the crew. But you're currently looking live inside Mission Control Houston at the flight control team that is being led by NASA Flight Director Deanna Trujillo. Next to Deanna, you see NASA astronaut Tracy Dyson, who will be our ground IV and communicating with today's spacewalkers once the spacewalk is underway and the crew is outside the International Space Station. And to Tracy's right, you see NASA Capcom Scott Zagatti. And the flight control team that you do see on your screen here is going to be working through procedures today as part of U.S. Spacewalk 94, where NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams will exit the space station's Quest airlock to prepare the 2A power channel for future installation of International Space Station rollout solar arrays. Once these arrays are installed, they will provide additional power for the orbiting lab, including for critical support of its safe and controlled deorbit. Additionally, swabs will be taken outside of the space station.
We've installed 1031 into EV1, 1032 into EV2, and we've now paused the pre-breathe clock at GMT 1112 in step 11. So looking for your go to move on to step 12.
Copy that, Jack. All good numbers right there. You are go to pick up in step 12.
And just to finish up there, in addition to the 2A power channel mod kit installation, the crew will also swab the outside of the space station to test for possible microorganisms as part of an ongoing investigation. And we do have views back inside the International Space Station here. On your left is NASA astronaut Chris Williams, who will be completing his first spacewalk today. And on the right of your screen, suited up, is NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, who will complete her fourth spacewalk of her career today. And a few more photos taking place as NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway and European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau continue to step through procedures ahead of today's start of the spacewalk.
Stand airlock, step 18. We pulled out meat toxic canisters 0.5.
And Jack, we had a little bit of comm dropout right there. Can you repeat those numbers again?
being made fun of for saying METOX instead of MEDOX.
All good, Jack. We'll forgive you on that one. Hey, could you repeat those numbers again? There's a bit of a comm dropout.
Those serial numbers were 0005, and the second serial number 0010.
All right, perfect. That's what we were expecting. Thanks, Jack. And with that comm dropout, that conveniently covered your comm, so that worked out.
Sorry, Houston, we just stepped on you. Can you repeat your last?
Nothing important right there. We were just letting you know we had that comm drop out, and we missed your ECOC call, which I'm sad for at this point. But everything's going well. Thank you.
What kind of ECOC call I was supposed to make, so what are you looking for there?
Nothing needed right there, so forget we even talked about it.
Copy.
And Jack, FYI, on the ground, we see the purge complete. We're ready for the purge valve close whenever you guys are.
Purge valves are now down and locked. EMU pre-breathe into pre-breathe clock restarted. GMT 1119.
1119. Thank you.
And you're looking at a view of NASA astronaut Chris Williams suited up in his space suit ahead of today's spacewalk. Our other spacewalker today is NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, who has previously completed 3 spacewalks. Prime for assisting today is NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, as well as European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adenau. They recently stepped through procedures to install the MEDOX, or metal oxide canister, into both Mir and Williams' spacesuit. The MEDOX canister does remove excess carbon dioxide during spacewalks. And also on your screen there on the left, you see Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kutsverchkov, who is the current Expedition 74 Commander.
In airlock, 2 good manual leak checks. We're back into step 17 of 1.225. We're going to start pulling them off ETAs and put the safers on them.
Copy that, Jack. We see the same. Back to step 17. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and then one other data piece to add. Chris has had quite a bit of trouble today moving his O2 actuator from off to press. He's been able to do it on his own, but we just want to give you a heads up that it's been sticky and it's been a little bit difficult for him to get it into that position. He's happy with it. We just want you guys to track it.
And copy that, Jack. Thanks for the added information right there. We'll track it down here as well.
And with those communications, the next procedures that NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway and European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau will help step through with the crew ahead of this spacewalk is getting their SAFERs installed. The SAFER is the simplified aid for EVA rescue and would be used in the unlikely event that an astronaut were to become untethered from the space station. The SAFER would allow the crew member to safely propel them back to the space station. Sometimes you may refer to it being called the space jetpack. So they're working together now to get those installed onto NASA astronaut Jessica Meir's spacesuit. And once the SAFERs are successfully installed, the astronauts will move through the equipment lock portion of the airlock into the crew lock section. Now coming into view is one of those SAFERs, or simplified aid for EVA rescue. Adeneau and Hathaway continuing to work together to install the SAFER onto NASA astronaut Jessica Meir's spacesuit. This will be her 4th spacewalk of her career. And again, the primary tasks for today's spacewalk are to prepare the 2A power channel for future installation of International Space Station rollout solar arrays. Once installed, these arrays will provide additional power for the orbiting laboratory. Additionally, swabs will be taken outside of the space station to test for possible microorganisms. Adeno and Hathaway continuing to work to install that safer to Jessica Meir's spacesuit. Earlier this morning, the crew worked through procedures to pre-breathe 100% oxygen in order to purge any excess nitrogen from their bodies, and then they completed their in-suit light exercise or IL activities. These movements help acclimate the body to the lower pressure of the spacesuit and purge excess nitrogen from their body slowly to avoid getting the bends or decompression sickness, similar to what divers on Earth can experience. Once Meir's safer is successfully installed, she will be moved into the crew lock. Inside the crew lock currently, you see on the top of your screen there is the strut bag. The strut bag is about 8 feet long. It weighs over 300 pounds and contains the pieces of the mid struts and left lower strut, which will be assembled and installed during today's spacewalk. A portion of the mod kit has already previously been installed and built during a spacewalk last May by NASA astronauts Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers. And NASA astronaut Jessica Meir now being moved into that crew lock portion of the International Space Station by NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, who you can see there on the bottom of your screen, as well as European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adno a little further back. Once Mir is situated inside of the airlock, they'll work to install Chris Williams' safer.
And Jack, Houston on 1 on here. We're watching the Safer Dawn on here just to make sure that we're all in sync. We'd like you to verify the upper mounting pins on EV1 Safer. Make sure that they're all fully in the groove and they're locked. And Jack, if you are talking to Houston, I cannot hear you.
Hey, Houston, sorry about that. Just so we're on the same page, on the Safer, there's a pin at the top, alignment pin at the bottom, and the latch in the center. And you're asking us to check the alignment pin at the top on both sides to make sure it's seated in the rail.
Affirm, that's exactly what we're looking for. FYI, 50 seconds to a handover.
It'll work.
Hathaway and Adno working to confirm that Mir's safer, simplified aid for EVA rescue is properly installed. Again, the safer would be utilized in the very unlikely event that a crew member were to become tethered from the International Space Station. If that were to occur, the safer would enable propulsion to safely get back to the space station. And we are in a brief handover between our satellite communication system. You're looking at a live view inside Mission Control Houston. The team is currently being led by Flight Director Deanna Trujillo, who you see on your screen, as well as Tracy Dyson, who will serve as our ground IV today, communicating with our spacewalkers once the spacewalk is underway. Today's Capcom, or capsule communicator, is Scott Sagatti, and he'll be primed for communicating with the crew inside the International Space Station. And a view back inside
And airlock, we're back with you. Both Soph and I verified the alignment pins, both the top and bottom on the left and right side of Jessica Safer are properly seated in their tracks.
Copy that, Jack. Thanks for the check on that. Go to continue.
And
Jessica's in the airlock. We're moving to Chris Safer.
Copy that. Moving over to Chris.
And with the confirmation that Mir Safer is installed, Hathaway now is going to work to do the same to NASA astronaut Chris Williams' spacesuit. Again, this will be Williams' first spacewalk of his career. And we are in another handover period between our satellites here. It does appear that fellow flight director Greg Whitney is here in the room with us as well, just speaking with NASA Flight Director Deanna Trujillo, who is the lead during today's spacewalk. The main tasks of today's spacewalk are to prepare the 2A power channel for future installation of International Space Station rollout solar arrays, which will provide additional power for the orbiting lab. In addition to this, there will be an ongoing science experiment sampling of the outside of the International Space Station to test for possible microorganisms. And on your screen, you are seeing NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway on the left there, continuing to work to get the safer installed on NASA astronaut Chris Williams' spacesuit and then move him into the crew lock. Once both Mir and Williams are inside the crew lock, depressurization procedures will begin. And we are seeing both Williams and Mir inside the crew lock now. Mir is wearing the spacesuit with the red stripe, and Williams is wearing the unmarked spacesuit today. Will be the fourth spacewalk for Jessica Mir and the first for Chris Williams. And if you're just joining us this morning, we are continuing to bring you live coverage ahead of the start of a spacewalk outside the International Space Station, where NASA astronauts Jessica Mir and Chris Williams will exit the station's Quest airlock to prepare the 2A power channel for future installation of International Space Station rollout solar arrays. This will be the 278th spacewalk in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades, and the very first of 2026. This will be the fourth spacewalk for Mir and the first for Williams. The prime task for today's spacewalkers is to complete the build and installation of a mod kit that is partially built outside the space station following a May 1st spacewalk by NASA astronauts Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers. In addition to the mod kit build, swabs will be taken outside the International Space Station and tested for possible microorganisms as part of an ongoing science experiment.
Station, we are reviewing this config, and we'll verbalize it to you, so follow along.
Hey, Sophie, back with you on here. You came in pretty broken. Can you repeat, please?
We are starting now the tethers config check of all of the tethers.
All right, copy that. We're following along in the procedure, Sophie. Thank you.
Okay, so to start with the airlock gearing extender, this is hooked to the big hook of the waste tether, which is to the right of Chris. This is gate closed, lock, black on black.
And we copy that, Sophie.
Airline. Hooks on the airlock gearing extender are gate closed, locked, black on black. I say both hooks because there is an extra waste tether. The airlock.
And copy that, Sophie. That's the expected config. Our recommendation at this point, we can get the rest of the tether calls later in the, once we do the depress on here, our recommendation to you is to continue on in step 66 of the pre-brief procedure.
We're just assisting them a few moves with the tethers, and we'll move very soon.
Copy that. Sounds great. Thanks for all the help, Sophie.
And those communications from the ground to European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno continuing to step through procedures. You heard some communications about configuring tethers to make sure everything is good to go before the crew steps outside of the International Space Station for today's spacewalk.
I'm going to step 66.
Copy that. Following along.
One of the next major milestones that we are looking ahead to this morning, once the hatch is closed, is depressurization of the crew lock portion of the International Space Station, bringing it down to vacuum. And here in the room in Mission Control Houston, NASA Flight Director Deanna Trujillo is polling the team, go or no go, for today's spacewalk. And this is a view inside Mission Control Houston. Again, NASA Flight Director Deanna Trujillo is leading the team of flight controllers here in Houston. This view back inside the International Space Station with both Mir and Hathaway, today's spacewalkers, inside the crew log portion of the International Space Station. On the left of your screen is NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, and on the right is European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno. They've been primed for stepping through the procedures to get the crew suited up and ready to go for today's spacewalk. Next up, they'll be closing the hatch and depressurization will take place. And on the left of your screen, you also see the Expedition 74 Space Station Commander, Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kutsverchkov. And Adeno and Hathaway now working to get the hatch closed. And Flight Director Diana Trujillo confirms the team here on the ground is go for today's spacewalk.
All right, EVs and Houston, this is Ivy in the airlock. Step 76, which is the emergency MPF is closed, and step 77, the node 1 vacuum access port. Gamma cap is attached, and we're ready for you guys to do 78.
All right, Jack, thank you very much. Good job with all of that. We'll go ahead and take care of the next 3 steps and the procedure. Stand by. We'll let you know when we're ready for you to proceed.
We will stand by for you, and for Jessica and Chris, the pre-read timer we have right here is 2 hours, 2 minutes, so that looks good, and time of day is 12:07, just for your essay. Currently night for another 35 minutes or so.
And on your screen, you are seeing NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway on the left, as well as European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau. The hatch is now closed to the crew airlock where NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams, today's spacewalkers, are currently located. Depressurization will soon occur, and once that is complete, once that portion of the space station is down to vacuum or 0 pounds per square inch, they'll have the go to open up the hatch of the Quest airlock and venture outside of the International Space Station to complete work to install and build a modification kit on the 2A power channel of the International Space Station.
All right. For everybody on here, we have step 80.1 complete. FYI, for the EV crew, you are now hot mic'd on space to ground 1, and you are go to pick up in step 81.
81 copies.
EV2 copies.
EV copies, and we got step 81 complete. So step 82, Chris, I'd like you on the UIA to check the depress pump power switch off.
Okay, depress pump power switch is coming on the UIA.
Sorry, Chris. Check that the depress pump power is off.
All right, depress pump power is off.
Okay, so the depress pump power is off, and the next step is to verify the depress pump enable LED is on.
Depress pump enable LED is on.
Okay, that sounds good, and now we're waiting for a Houston go to move into the crew lock depress Q card.
And Houston is go to move into the Q card. And standby 1, don't move into the Q card quite yet.
All right, I'm on the crew lock depress Q card, and Chris on the UIA, take the depress pump power switch to on.
Standby 1 on Q card.
Standby.
IV copy, standing by.
NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway continuing to lead NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams through procedures this morning ahead of depressurization. This morning, depressurization will occur in a two-stage fashion. First, the crew lock will be taken down to 5 pounds per square inch of pressure, at which point depressurization will be paused to perform a systems check, and then depressurization will resume to get the crew lock all the way down to vacuum. Once at vacuum, Mir and Williams will conduct suit checks and communication checks with Mission Control Houston before they put their suits on internal battery power.
Say OFF. We're saying off just to differentiate in the, it's, a little bit harder to hear.
Will do. I can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Airlock Houston, thanks for your patience right there. We just wanted to double check the depress pump status on here. We are now go to proceed to the Q card per step 84.
Lock copies. We're in step 84, and we're going to do the crew lock depress Q card. All right, Chris, on the UIA, switch the depress pump power switch to on.
Depress pump power switch is coming to on ON. Depress pump power switch has been switched to on.
Okay, I'm looking at my timer for the 10 seconds. Chris, now you can take the depress pump manual isolation valve to open and expect an alert tone.
Copy. Depress pump man ISO valve coming to open. It is open. Expect alert tone.
EV1 and EV2, monitor your CP gauge to make sure it stays below 5.5.
EV1 copies.
EV2.
And if you're just joining us this morning, we're continuing to bring you live coverage ahead of the start of a spacewalk today. This will be the first of 2026 and the 278th in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades. NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Mir are suited up and in...
My pressure is pegged at 5. My suit's very loud.
Yeah, here's the,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, Jessica.
Ivy can hear you as well. I understand that what is your CP gauge saying?
My CP gauge is above 5.
And EV2, my super gauge is right at 5.
Keep monitoring. It says it should stay below 5.5. If it does get to 5.5, Chris, you can go ahead and stop the depress, and we'll check in with Houston.
Copy.
Again, NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Mir are inside the crew lock portion of the International Space Station that is currently undergoing depressurization, now at about 10.4 pounds per square inch. The crew lock will be taken down to 5 pounds per square inch of pressure.
Steady at 5.
Say again?
Holding steady at 5.
Copy, holding steady at 5. I'm also holding steady at 5 on my CP gauge.
We copy.
And now that the crew lock is at 5 pounds per square inch of pressure. There will be a pause for depressurization checks and system checks. Once the crew lock does reach vacuum, Jessica Meir and Chris Williams will conduct suit checks and communication checks with Mission Control Houston before they put their suits on internal battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk.
All right, as we approach 6 PSI, you guys can expect an alert tone.
TV1 copies.
TV2 copies.
Pressure inside the crew lock approaching 7 pounds per square inch. Again, we will hold once 5 pounds per square inch of pressure is reached for systems checks. Crew lock pressure now at 6.5 pounds per square inch. As you can see on your screen, NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway and European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno continue to follow along, assisting Meir and Williams getting suited up and ready to go for today's spacewalk. Pressure inside the crew lock nearing in on 5 pounds per square inch. Again, we will pause once that pressure is 5 pounds per square inch for systems checks and communication checks.
All right, Chris, we still have a little bit to go. We're just decreasing through 300 millimeters now. When we get to 260, I'm going to have you take the pump isolation valve to close. So just a minute or two away from that.
EV2 copies and is standing by, still showing just under 5 on my 50 gauge.
All right, Chris, take the depressed pump manual isolation valve to close. You'll expect an alert tone.
EV2 depressed pump man ISO valve is now closed.
Right, we're seeing crew lock pressure right around 260. So we're going to go into a leak check. So for both EV1 and EV2, take your display switch to status until you see leak check question mark and then a long yes. You'll follow the displayed instructions.
V1 has leak check and long yes.
V2 leak check and long yes.
And with the crew lock now at 5 pounds per square inch, those leak checks are underway.
V1 leak check complete. Suit pressure 4.8. Set oxygen actuator to EVA.
And EV2 leak check complete. Suit P4.7 and setting oxygen to EVA.
Okay, that's great news, guys. And just let me know that you both do indeed have your O2 actuator and EVA.
EV1 in work.
And we did hear confirmation of 2 good suit leak checks.
In work for EV2. And EV2 is in EVA.
Copy, EV2 is in EVA.
In work for EV1.
IV copy.
And as system checks continue, you are hearing some communications between...
Oxygen actuator fault.
All right, we didn't quite copy that, EV1.
I have an oxygen actuator fault currently.
Oxygen actuator fault.
Yeah, I'm back in press now. And it's getting a little bit stuck on EVA, still working on it.
Are you saying you saw an oxygen actuator fault under DCM, or you're just having trouble moving it to EVA?
No, I did have an oxygen actuator fault, but I think that was just because it was stuck in between positions for a certain length of time. I am now in EVA.
Okay, copy. EV1 is in EVA. From IV, we just want to double check with you before we move on that you guys are happy with that configuration.
Airlock Houston, copy the calls right there. We are good with the config. Go to proceed.
Airlock copies. All right, Chris, on the UIA, take the depress pump manual isolation valve to open. You'll get an alert tone.
The depress pump man ISO valve is coming to open. Press pump man ISO valve is open.
And Sophie's going to check the emergency MPEG to open out here.
And with confirmation of good leak checks and systems checks...
Monitor your CP gauge. Make sure it stays less than 5.5.
EV1 copies.
EV2 copies. We'll go.
Depressurization is continuing. Once we get down to 0 pounds per square inch, we'll be considered at vacuum. We'll get the go to open up the hatch. But just prior to that, suits will be turned on to internal battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk. Pressure inside the crew lock now 4.5 pounds per square inch. Now under 4 pounds of pressure per square inch inside the crew lock. Pressure inside the crew lock now approaching 2.75 pounds per square inch. NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams are isolated in the crew lock section of the Quest airlock in preparation for the start of the 278th spacewalk in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades.
EV2 showing airlock T1.9 on my DCM.
EV2 from airlock, we're seeing about 2 psi out here, so you can take the depress pump manual isolation valve to close.
EV2, depress pump man ISO valve is closed.
Copy that, and on the UIA, switch the depress pump power to off.
All right, on the UIA, depress pump power is coming to off OFF.
Copy OFF. And it's been great seeing you guys up out there. Good luck out there. Take care of business, and we will pass you over to Ground IV in Houston.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Sophie. Hello, Houston.
Hey, Jessica, Chris. Great to hear your voice. Jack, Sophie, nice work. Thanks a lot. We are ready for your initial tether config when you're ready.
All right, TC, it's great to hear your voice as well. I will give you our setup. I will start with my right D-ring extender. I see my red hook is on my right D-ring extender, gate closed and sliders locked. My waist tether is also gate closed, slider locked on that same right D-ring extender. The large hook of my waist tether is just on my mini workstation, as is my anchor hook. And I'm looking at my green rail. It is currently unlocked. I can see my I can see EV2s. Okay. I can see my yellow hook is on the green reel. That's gate closed and sliders locked. You can see my red reel is unlocked. It has the green hook on it, which is unlocked. It also has Chris's anchor hook, which is locked. And that's also on my red reel, as mentioned. I can see the extra waist tether that we have on the airlock D-ring extender. Gate closed, sliders locked. The big end is just freely floating. And then I see Chris's waist tether. I believe that is his right waist tether.
Stay firm.
And it is gate closed, sliders locked. Can actually see it all the way to him.
Hand over.
It is on his right D-ring.
And we are in a handover between our satellites currently, but we'll regain communication and video of the crew here shortly. You did hear communications with NASA astronaut Jessica Meir and Chris Williams as they work with the ground to make sure that all of their tethers are configured as they should be before they step outside the space station to begin today's spacewalk.
The green reel is unlocked. On my green reel, I have my yellow hook, gate closed, black on black, locked. And on my red reel, I have my green hook, which is unlocked. My red reel is unlocked, and that goes to my right D-ring extender with the red hook, black on black, as Jessica called. On my left, on my mini workstation, I have my left waist tether, which goes to my left D-ring extender. The small hook for that is gate closed, locked, black on black.
Okay, you guys, I walked you right into a handover. So we caught most of the tether config, and I'm missing just a few checks. Let's start with you, Chris. It's mostly on you, Chris. Your the waist tether that you have to the airlock D-ring extender to your right D-ring extender. Make sure you got that hook closed and locked.
Copy. I think Jessica can see that one.
Yep, I reported both of those. It is closed and locked on his right D-ring extender and closed and locked on the airlock D-ring extender.
Okay, well, we didn't miss too much, evidently, so you guys got a great tether config.
One copy.
DVD copies.
And now closing in on 1 pound per square inch of pressure inside the crew lock.
On the depress cue card, when crew lock BPDT is about 0, you can expect a learn tone. I don't know if you got one yet.
Negative. No alert tone.
Yep, ED2 negative.
I haven't received any of the expected alert tones.
Okay, guys, we're going to hold here while we're waiting for the pressure to keep coming down. And as we pause, I'll come back to you for hatch ops.
EV1.
EV2.
And as we await pressure to reach 0 pounds per square inch or vacuum, you are hearing communications where the crew is mentioning EV1 and EV2. EV1 this morning is NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. She'll be wearing the spacesuit with the red stripes. EV2 is NASA astronaut Chris Williams, and you'll be able to identify him because he will be in the unmarked spacesuit once we get views of them after they egress the hatch. For Meir, this is the 4th spacewalk of her career, and for Williams, this will be the very first of his career. And back inside the International Space Station, on your left, you do see European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau. And on the right, NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. They have been primed to get the crew suited up and step through procedures this morning ahead of the start of today's spacewalk. Once pressure inside of the crew lock reaches 0 pounds per square inch, some system checks will occur, and then the spacesuits will be switched onto battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk. Pressure inside the crew lock now less than 1 pound per square inch, 0.93 pounds per square inch currently. And if you're just joining us this morning, we are nearing the start of today's spacewalk, U.S. Spacewalk 94, where NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams will exit the station's Quest airlock to prepare the 2A power channel for future installation of International Space Station rollout solar arrays. Once installed, the array will provide additional battery power for the orbital lab, including critical support of its safe and controlled deorbit. Today, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir will serve as Spacewalk Crew Member 1, or EV1, and will wear a suit with red stripes, while NASA astronaut Chris Williams will serve as Spacewalk Crew Member 2 and will wear the unmarked spacesuit. This will be the 4th spacewalk for Meir and the 1st for Williams.
It's about 0.6 on the hatch pressure gauge. Copy.
Copy that, Jessica. Thank you. We're still standing by.
And as you just heard, the crew lock is continuing to depress down to 0, currently at 0.55 pounds per square inch, so getting closer. Once at vacuum, the crew will get the go to switch their spacesuits to battery power, which will mark the start of today's spacewalk.
All right, Jessica, big moment. Your suit data is nominal, both of you, and we are showing 0.5 PSI on the hatch. You verified for us 0.6 on the hatch gauge. You have a go to open and stow the EV hatch.
Okay, copy. Go to open and stow the hatch.
And you did just hear that communication that the crew has the go to stow the hatch.
We're done, Jessica?
Okay, hatch is open. And we're in the hatch keep.
Well done. Well done.
I can see the light.
Excellent. Okay, for Jack in the airlock, you can put step 15 into work, emergency MPEV to closed.
In work.
complete.
Thank you, Sophie. All right, guys, that puts us in the post-depress portion of the cue card. Now, before I have you switch those, I want to have you, Jessica, we heard you mention your alert tones that you weren't getting them. And so after this step, if you could for us, verify that you get the warning tone.
Okay, copy.
So with that, on your DCM, switch power to bat, stagger your switch those, and expect the warning tone.
Okay, copy. EV1 is going power to bat. Power to bat, and I do have my power restart message with tone.
EV2 is switching power to bat.
Okay, I copy you both are in bat, and you got the tone, Jessica?
Apron.
Awesome. Okay.
And EV2 also has a 2P high that I just proed.
Same expected 2P high message.
Those are expected. You can pro, and in fact, that's the next step to switch your display to pro to verify a functional display.
EV1 functional.
EV2 functional.
Excellent. Okay, Chris, for you on the UIA, you can switch power EV1 to 2 switches to off.
Copy, in work, power EV1 and EV2 coming to off. EV1 off, EV2 off.
And check power EV1 to LEDs, 4 of them are off.
All 4 LEDs, EV1 and EV2 power, are off.
All right, switching to your DCMs, you can now disconnect your SCU from your DCMs, install the DCM cover, and stow your SCU in the pouch.
EV1 copies in work.
EV2 copies in work.
EV1 demated.
EV2 demated.
And with suits now on internal battery power, the next major milestone that we are looking ahead towards is seeing the hatch open. You do see on your screen there that circular structure. That is the space station hatch that we will see open here shortly.
And I have my DCM cover in place.
EV2 has FTU in the pouch and DCM cover in place.
All right, well done, guys. For you, Chris, you can check that the depress pump man ISO valve is closed.
Pump man ISO valve is closed.
All right, on your DCMs, take your temp control valve to max hot.
Work?
In work.
EV1 max hot.
EV2 max hot.
Switch water on.
EV1 water on.
EV2 water on.
All right, check DCM blank, bite off.
EV1 DCM blank, bite off.
EV2 DCM blank, bite off.
Okay, you can set your temp control valve as desired and report your setting to me.
1 copies.
EV2 copies in work.
EV1's currently at 8.
EV2 has TCV set to 6.
Copy. EV1 is at 8, EV2 is at 6, and if you will, report all subsequent TCV changes to me as we go along, and then report your suit key gauge.
EV1 suit key gauge is 4.2.
The EV2 suit key gauge 4.4.
Copy 4.2 and 4.4, EV1, EV2. All right, you guys, we are just about there. You're right smack in the middle of a day pass. Your visor set as required. Step 14 is not required. We will need from our suit IVs, step 15. Never mind, suit IVs. We're going to do that from the ground.
TC, I've actually brought my TCB down to a setting of 6 right now. I'm going to leave it there.
Copy that. 6 for EV1. Okay, Jessica, Chris, we are ready to step into our timeline. You ready?
V1's ready.
EV2, ready to go.
You sound ready. Okay, Jessica, you can open the hatch thermal cover and release the hook from the magnetic plate D-ring. You'll attach that hook to the stowage tether point there on the thermal cover, and then cinch the strap until it's snug, and we expect 6 lines visible. If you'll confirm that for me when you're done.
Copy. And the hatch, the thermal cover was open, of course, still held on by the hook. And I'm putting that into the stowage location now. The stowage location, and I see lines.
Perfect. 6 lines.
Thermal cover is open.
Excellent. You have a go to egress, and as you come out, if you can, when you're able, turn on your HECA.
And as you can see on your screen, the thermal hatch cover is now open. Today's spacewalk officially began at 7:52 a.m. Central Time this morning, the 278th in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades.
Copy. And when you come out, you are taking your anchor to airlock handrail 0554.
EV1 copies. I have that in sight.
Just jamming. Okay, check for me. Gate closed, hook lock.
No, I don't have it on yet. It didn't work.
And first out of the hatch today is NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, completing the 4th spacewalk of her career. You'll be able to identify her throughout today because she's wearing the spacesuit with the red stripes, as you can see on your screen.
Okay, I have my anchor hook on the port D-ring of 554, gate closed and slider lock.
Copy. You can work on EV2 anchor, and that will be to the aft airlock external D-ring.
And work. Okay, I have EV2's anchor hook on the aft D-ring of the airlock, gate closed and slider locked.
Well done. You can reposition yourself, Jessica, to the forward side of the crew lock and get ready for the strut bag handoff. And when you're ready, you can give Chris the go to release his waist tether from the airlock D-ring extender.
Okay, I am moving to the forward side of the airlock. Set a waist tether down. Chris, you have a go to remove your waist tether anytime you like.
Copy that. My waist tether is removed from the airlock D-ring extender.
Okay, Chris, you can start passing out the strut bag when Jessica's ready. I'm going to let you two coordinate that. If you need any reminders, let me know. And before we get to the next bag, I'll be checking with you, Jessica, to make sure we have the bag in the expected orientation.
One copies.
EV2 copies. I'm ready to pass it when you are, Jessica.
Okay, stand by. I'm going to get my RET out.
Copy all.
And next up, NASA astronaut Chris Williams, still inside the hatch, is going to pass the strut bag to Mir. The strut bag is about 8 feet long and weighs over 300 pounds and contains the mid-struts and the left lower strut that will be assembled and installed during today's spacewalk.
Okay, Chris, I'm ready for you to pass out the bag.
Okay, strut bag is coming down.
Okay, and if you can pause right there.
Holding.
A little bit further, actually.
Copy, I see your ret.
Okay, I've got my BRT ret on it.
Okay. I hear you have your ret on it. I am going to take the airlock ret and remove it from strut bag.
Copy.
Airlock ret is removed from the strut bag. That airlock ret has been reattached to the airlock gearing extender.
Okay, copy.
And I copy as well. Nice work, you guys.
Chris, it's going to take me a few minutes to get this situated.
Yep, copy all. Need to untangle a ret from my wire ties on my BRT, so I will be there in 1 second.
All right, you guys take your time.
See, I've got the adjustable that was on the handrail of the strut bag on the bag on my windy workstation now as well. And I'm going to work on getting this in a acceptable orientation on my BRT.
Excellent. And just a reminder, the tape goes toward your head.
Copy, I've got the tape toward my head.
And if you're just joining us this morning, we now are over 11 minutes into the first spacewalk of 2026, the 278th in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades. On your screen, you see one of our spacewalkers, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, who has egressed the airlock this morning and is working to get the strut bag, that 8-foot-long bag you see on your screen, configured. Still inside the airlock, but soon to exit, is NASA astronaut Chris Williams. This is Meir's fourth spacewalk and the first for Williams. The duo will work together today to prepare the 2A power channel for future installation of International Space Station rollout solar arrays. Once installed, these arrays will provide additional power for the orbiting lab.
Okay. Yes, I'm on the forward side, and I've got the strut bag.
Copy.
I think how I like it for now.
Copy.
And I see the cable bag coming out.
Okay.
Okay, stand by right there.
Copy. It's a good location for me to take the red off, too.
Okay, and I'm following along, you guys. I heard what you said, Jessica, about the strut bag, and I assume you got your mini workstation red to the non-taped end of the handrail.
Negative, I decided to use my BRT ret there, so I have my BRT ret on the non-taped side.
Yeah.
I have my BRT on the handrail, and I have the adjustable on the taped side.
That's right. You did say BRT. I got it written down. Okay, we got all your checks, and I see you passing out the cable bag. And do you need any words on this? You guys got the choreography?
Got a ret on the cable. I think we got it.
All right, you got a red on it?
Chris, I have a red on it.
Okay, I am just grabbing it for a second to take this airlock ret off.
Okay, and I did use the
bag ret?
Yes, the bag ret that we talked about.
It's released from the airlock, and its ret is back on the airlock gearing extender.
Oh, copy.
And from this view of NASA astronaut Jessica Mears' helmet cam, we're getting a nice peek inside of the airlock where NASA astronaut Chris Williams is still, but soon will be exiting. They just worked to pass over the tether bag where all of the tethers and cables are located that will be utilized during today's spacewalk.
Chris, just a heads up for you, when you come out, you'll be biased toward the aft side of the crew lock.
See that? Aft on egress.
The bag's floating up a little bit, but I have a hand on it, so you can just hit it with your foot if it's in your way coming out.
Okay, copy that. I am ready to egress if you guys are ready for it.
We are totally ready for it.
Okay, I've got my visor down and I've got my HECA on.
I see you coming out.
Thanks, Chris.
And NASA astronaut about to exit the International Space Station for the very first spacewalk of his career.
And straighten up a little bit. I see your safer getting caught.
Safer's getting caught.
Yep, if you can get your legs a little bit straight down. There you go.
Here we are, yep.
And I am right to your right, so you can go aft.
Copy, I'm going to go aft. Oop. I got caught on my BRT from the airlock, so I am free now.
Copy.
And I am coming out.
Hey, like we talked about, go ahead and get comfortable.
Copy that, yep. I'm just going to get further down. Awesome. Tether on the airlock. Okay, and I got my defector down.
Okay. Would you like to go ahead and close the thermal cover before we transfer the bag?
Sounds like a great idea.
I can help you on this side.
Copy that. Started. I can finish it off. I got it.
TC, I see the thermal cover is closed.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm coming over towards you a little bit to see the cable bag.
Oops, strap bag's kind of...
Yep, I see it.
Has a lot of momentum.
Walk that out. Got my BRT out. Got my BRT right.
And we are getting some spectacular views of the Earth from Jessica Mears' helmet cam. The International Space Station is currently flying 260 miles over Africa.
And I'm going to take the cable bag.
Okay. Have positive control?
I have standby. I have positive control.
Okay.
And I've got a good BRT rep on the cable bag. And I'm just going to get this with the lid facing away.
And you might want to move the aft a bit again. My brother's right here.
Copy that, yep. Coming aft. Just get this on my BRT. Okay, cable bag is on my BRT.
Okay, are you ready for me to release? Do you have a bet on it?
I have my BRT rep on the cable bag, good connection.
Okay, you ready to receive the rep back?
I am ready to receive the back. I got it.
Here it comes.
Yep.
Just let it go. Yep.
Okay. Feather it back to the bag.
All right, guys. Nicely done. Nicely done. And I see that you got the lid oriented away from your body, all the proper checks. When you guys are ready, you can perform your body checks, and we'll just be listening to what you're saying, and if you miss anything, I'll let you know.
All right, Chris.
Let me just get into a better orientation.
Can you bring your head down a little bit?
Yep, working on it.
Okay, I see a green light on your HECA.
Copy.
Lights are not on yet, neither are mine.
Copy.
I see 3, 1, 2. Can you roll? Okay, I got it. Actually, 1, 2, 3 tabs up.
Copy.
And actually, your left safer handle is up.
Copy. Left handle is up. Working on it. Okay, I think that might have done it.
Right, turn, roll toward me a little bit. Yes, foot down now, and I can see that the right side is also down.
Copy that.
I see you've got the bag on your DRT, and you've got a good tether config.
Copy all. All right, and I am, look at you. I see your HECA light is on. I see your helmet lights are off. Just get a little more stable here. Okay, I see you've got 1, 2, if you can, if you're on your left, 3 taps. The left safer handle down, and I see right safer handle down. I see you've got the strut bag on your left. All your tethers look to be in good order. And I've got a nominal hat and I'm a glove inspection.
Hey, and I didn't give you my hat or gloves yet either. My hat is dry and nominal gloves.
Okay.
Don't forget body check.
You guys got them all, and I copy dry hats and good gloves for all. And Chris, just before I get you guys on your way with translation adaptation, just wanted to give you a heads up, Chris, that we are not getting any biomed data, but we are getting good suit data, which indicates there might be a physical connection with the electrodes that is compromised. So, but we are good to continue with the EVA. Just wanted to let you know that about our insight into your biomed.
Okay, copy that. I'll let you know I'm feeling great.
Well, that's exactly what we want to hear, so keep it up. Okay, with that, you can perform translation adaptation as required.
You got it.
NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams did just complete what is called buddy checks, where they essentially take a look at each other's spacesuits, tethers, and tools, ensuring everything is configured and looking as expected. This will occur throughout today's spacewalk. You also heard a HAP, or Helmet Absorption Pad, check. This is a safety device developed by NASA to address the possible risk of water inside the helmets. Both reported dry HAPs, which is what is expected at this time. So now Meir and Williams will begin to translate or move over to their first work site of today's spacewalk. We're now 22 minutes into the first spacewalk outside the International Space Station of 2026.
I'm feeling good.
Feeling good?
Yep.
All right, CC, I think with that, I am ready to start translating up to Petersburg.
Oh.
And Chris can continue his translation adaptation when he goes to ESP2.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan. Just to let you know, we are coming up on a bit of a handover in about 3.5 minutes, so let me get you guys started. You are going to translate out first. Jessica, you're going to head up on the forward face and head out port. and your green hook location is nadir of the P1 FHRC. When you are past the MT, just give me a holler.
Okay, I know I'll be looking for 3651, the nadir handout.
Oh, look at you, remembering your numbers and all that. For you, Chris, you're going to translate to ESP2 with 3. I think you know where that is. You'll be following Jessica. And I have a number of cautions, three cautions to read that will apply when you once you start on the forward face. So let me get those out while you guys are translating. The first is to avoid contact with the deployed tusk cables on the nadir and zenith feeder rails. Those will be the big white tape things you see going along the face of the truss. Avoid contact with radiators and flex hoses. This is more for when you are actually on P4. And then do not translate on the 2 alpha PVR base handrail. Again, that's when you're at P4. And Chris, I'll try to give you another reminder when you're close to that area.
D1 copies. DB2 copies all.
All right. And with that, happy translating, and we are about 2 minutes from a handover.
D1 copies.
D2 copies.
Chris, I'm going up the Cedar Spur. I'm going to go nice and slow with this bag.
Copy that. I'm going to get up to the toolboxes and make my reach over to ESP2.
And both Williams and Mir now working on translating or moving to their next area of the International Space Station. And Williams is working to grab the Worksite Interface Extension, or WIFIX. It's a tool that are used by astronauts during spacewalks to extend the capability of their workstation foot restraints. In a short time, Williams will work to get inside of the APFR, or Articulating Portable Foot Restraint, and this WIFIX tool will help give him a better reach as Mir and Williams work to install the mod kit this morning.
Chris and Jessica, just want to let you know I'm back with you, and we see views through your HECA.
DB1 copies.
DB2 copies.
And this view from NASA astronaut Chris Williams' viewpoint as he works to get the cable bag stowed The cable bag will be utilized later during today's spacewalk, but is not needed at the moment, so he's going to stow it temporarily.
Okay, I have the bag ready to the WIFX and the WIFX removed. Working on bundling.
All right, Chris, way to go. When you're ready, you can start translating to your green hook location, following Jessica.
And you can see that WIFX or worksite interface extension in Chris Williams' hand there. It's going to bundle it to the cable bag to make it a little easier to bring over to the worksite. As a reminder, today the first procedures that the crew members will be working on are to finish out the mod kit build for the 2A power channel. A portion of this modification kit is already built and installed outside the International Space Station and was completed on May 1st, 2025 by NASA astronauts Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers.
Okay, I'm just past the MT. That was a bit interesting with the bag, and I am at the FHRC, so I'll get ready to do my green hook.
Copy, Jessica. Yeah, I saw you managing that big bag going under there. Good job. Hey, Chris, I see what you're doing. That's great. A great fix.
Yep.
And we're continuing to get views of NASA astronaut Chris Williams during his very first spacewalk of his career. He was working to bundle that WIFX to the cable bag, essentially using a large wire tie to do so.
I've got my green hook on handrail 3651. It's closed, rider's locked.
Copy, Jessica.
I copy that, Jessica, and I've got the sex bundled on my BRT.
Okay, copy both of you. So, Jessica, you're heading out to the 2 Alpha IEA. Outboard to the Sarge. Prior to crossing that, verify for me your gauntlets are in place.
You want copy?
And as you just heard, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir is continuing to translate over to the 2A power truss.
Okay, EV2 is picking up my waste tether and beginning to translate back towards feeder spur.
Copy, Chris.
And this view of NASA astronaut Jessica Meir as she continues to translate. She does have the strut bag attached to her, and inside the strut bag are the mid struts and the left lower strut that will be assembled and installed today. The strut bag is about 8 feet long and weighs over 300 pounds. Of course, in microgravity, it does not necessarily have weight, but it still has that mass associated with it.
EV2's at the top of feeder spur.
Welcome to the forward phase. Jessica, verify for me your gauntlets are in place.
Okay, my gauntlets are down.
Okay. And then...
Affirm, gauntlets are in place.
All right, and you remember you're going nadir at Sarge to the keel side of the IEA.
Yep, copy. Copy, nadir.
And Chris, I'm watching you, but when you are past the MP, just let me know.
And we did just have a great view of NASA astronaut Jessica Meir as she continues her translation to the 2A truss of the International Space Station.
And I'm on the bottom of the IEA.
Copy that, Jessica. Those are the tuss reels, that white tape-looking thing there, Chris.